We've all come across the listings on Marketplace, Craigslist, and elsewhere. Thousands and thousands of 80s and 90s baseball cards, basketball and football cards too in some cases, that are in a large tote or a box or many totes and boxes with huge asking prices. This video is a public service announcement that you can send to those people trying to sell their bulk cards. An explainer, a Q&A, and an FAQ all rolled into one that demonstrates why those collections are not worth near what they think they are. Okay, so they're not completely worthless, but advertising these types of collections with four-figure asking prices isn't good for the seller. So let's talk about where the value is and how to effectively price bulk junk wax cards so they'll sell. There are many videos out there explaining what the junk wax era is, and so I won't rehash that information here. If you're not sure if your cards are junk wax, just look at the back of the cards, look at the last year listed in the stat line, and add 1. That is the year of the card. If your cards are from 1987 to 1994, congratulations, your cards are junk wax and have pretty much no value. The amount of cards you have really doesn't matter. You could have 1,000, 10,000, or 100,000. The value doesn't change. Brand doesn't have much sway either. Topps, Donruss, Fleer, Score, Upper Deck, Flair, TCMA, Sportflix, and others, all effectively worthless. Why don't they have value? Well, they were so massively overproduced that there are just millions of them out there. Millions still in sealed packs and sealed sets. And pretty much everyone who wants them already has them. Your anger and resentment may already be creeping up, and you may want to respond. But they're 30 years old. They're vintage, right? No, they're not vintage. They're junk wax. Vintage cards are generally accepted to be from 1980 and earlier. No doubt you've looked up some card prices and found cards like yours selling for $1 each on eBay. So they're worth $1 each, right? And you've got 10,000 of them. So $3,000 is a fair offer, right? Well, no. There are instances where a set builder or other single-player collector might pay $1 for one of these cards in very specific instances, and that's why you see them listed. What you aren't going to do with your 10,000 cards in a Rubbermaid tote is spend the month it would take you to list them all as singles on eBay at $1 each, and then wait the 5 years it would take to sell 20 or 30 cards, and then find out eBay takes 25% of the sale. Congrats! After weeks of work and 5 years of waiting, you've made $10. And you still have a Rubbermaid tote of 99,980 cards taking up space in your garage. No doubt you've seen that some players have big money rookie cards selling for $100 each, or more. And you've got those cards, right? Well, maybe you do. Maybe you have a 1987 Topps Greg Maddux rookie, a Hall of Famer. Maybe you have 20 of them. And you saw online the same cards selling for $150. Well, that means that your card is worth $150, right? No. For those cards to be worth that kind of money, they have to be in gem mint condition as graded by PSA or SGC or perhaps Beckett. The cards in your tote are not 10s. You think they look mint, but they aren't. The fact that those cards have been banging around in that tote or box for years means that there is no way the edges or corners are mint. The graders use a jeweler's loupe to observe the corners under 10x magnification. Your cards aren't mint. Plus, it costs money, often in excess of $20 each, to have these cards graded. Cards of this era in any other grade besides a 10 won't be worth the price of grading. So you can't use those prices to comp your tote of cards. But what about the big money era cards that sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars? You saw them on eBay, right? Yeah, you may have seen listings like that. Or like this. Well, these listings are scams. The cards aren't actually selling for that price. Everyone hates these listings, and the only people who believe in them are the same people asking $5,000 for your Rubbermaid tote of junk wax cards. Go into the options and look at the sold cards, and you'll see that these cards labeled as errors are just as worthless. So that's all the bad news. But aside all that, is there any value in your giant Rubbermaid tote of junk wax baseball cards? Well, yeah, maybe. Complete sets in excellent or better condition do have a little value. and can still bring between 10 and 20 bucks each. But to extract that value, you would have to go through those cards, separate them, put them in numerical order, and verify that the specific set is complete. That takes hours, and you're likely not going to do that. And you can't charge the $20 per set if you can't verify that it's complete. A complete set of 792 1987 Topps cards can sell for $15, maybe even $20. A box of 792 1987 Topps cards that aren't a complete set aren't worth $1. Know the difference. If the set isn't complete, even by just a few cards, then it greatly diminishes any value that might have been there in the first place. If you want that value as the seller, you as the seller have to put in the work of organizing and verifying the completeness. There are a few cards of that era that have value as singles, like the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. Rookie, card number 1. Easily a $20 card, and up to $50 in good condition, and sometimes even more. So if that card is in your collection, you're better off selling it by itself. An Upper Deck Griffey Rookie is worth $50. An Upper Deck Griffey Rookie in a collection of 10,000 junk wax commons is still worth $50. Maybe you don't believe me, and you think everyone is just trying to rip you off. Well, this is easy to verify. Take your Rubbermaid tote of cards to a local card shop. There are plenty around. Ask them if they'd like to buy your cards. They're always buying cards, right? Well, they won't. They can't. They can't resell them, and they can't afford to waste the space to store the cards they have no chance of selling. Furthermore, they don't have the time to go through that giant tote of cards and see if there is a card in there or two that might be worth something to someone. They will politely decline and leave you to schlep the giant box of cards back home to sit in your garage for another 3 presidential terms. If by some chance you can find a dealer to buy your cards, the going rate for junk wax cards is about $1 per 1,000 cards, and that's only if you can find somebody to buy them. Keep this figure in mind when we talk about how to price your collection if you want to sell it. So you got a big tote or box of baseball cards, and you really want to sell them. You just want them gone. You've watched this far, and maybe you're starting to believe me. Here's how to price them so they'll sell. The $1 per 1,000 mark is for dealers. That assumes some room for them to resell a few of the cards and make money on the deal. For your average Joe Schmo collector on Marketplace or Craigslist, a good target listing price is $5 per 1,000 cards. How can you easily count them? Well, a box like this holds up to about 900 cards, which makes things easy to ballpark. If you're not willing to even count the cards you're trying to sell, well, just throw the whole thing up for $20 and somebody will likely buy it for the fun of going through it. That is worth $20 in entertainment value. If you have around 5,000 random junk wax cards in a tote or a box, or even in albums, start with a figure of $25. Add 20% of negotiating room, $5 in this case, and then list your tote of cards for $30. If you want to press your luck, list it for $50. Anything more than that, and it will likely just sit and make all of your buyers angry. When we, the people who love buying baseball card collections, see a box of cards like this priced at $1,500, it's not worth it to try and explain all this to you and then offer you the $20 in the first place, because then you think that we're out to rip you off, when really, it's just you in your own way. You might then think that if you have 10,000 cards, then you can double that price, right? Well, not usually. The more cards there are, the more and more time it will take someone to go through them, and the more trouble it is to move them, and the more space you need to store them, and etc. 10,000 cards can fit in the trunk of most cards. 100,000 cards can't. If someone needs to spend $100 to rent a truck to come get the boxes, they'll want assurances that there are high-dollar cards in there. So you're stuck back at square one with a huge collection of cards listed for way too much money, insistent that they're worth something. And then they'll continue to sit in your garage until 2050. So I hope this helps. And I hope you're not mad. No, I'm not trying to rip you off. Your cards just aren't worth that much. $50 is about the most you can reasonably ask for a huge box or multiple huge boxes of junk wax cards. If you're offered $30 or $40 for it, that's a good offer, and you should take it. If you're offered $20, consider taking it. If you're offered $10, ask for an explanation. If you're talking to somebody that can recognize the card sets just by the color of the edges, you might want to take that $10. If you want more, then it's up to you as the seller to show the cards or complete sets in the collection that warrant the higher asking price. You can always donate the cards, but that is another video. Go watch that one for tips on how to do just that. Fellow card sharks, leave your opinions and advice in the comments and let this be a vessel of knowledge for all time. Let's help people sell those gigantic totes of cards from their garages into the hands of people who will appreciate them. We're here to help. This has been a friendly public service announcement. Thanks for watching. Help support the channel by commissioning some custom-designed card box dividers. Send me an email at philliesbaseballcards@gmail.com and let's start that conversation.